Maxine the bobcat's surprising pregnancy had already set the staff at Hillside Nature Reserve on edge, but nothing could have prepared them for how things would unfold on that fateful afternoon. Maxine, known for her solitary habits and graceful independence, had long been a symbol of resilience within the sanctuary. Yet now, her rounded belly hinted at new life within, life the team had not fully anticipated so soon. As dusk settled over the reserve, a sudden hush fell across the observation room. Had Maxine really begun her labour hours ahead of schedule? No one dared look away, for this moment promised both marvel and challenge that none would forget. What secrets would the night reveal? For weeks, the reserve's caretakers had puzzled over Maxine's uncharacteristic behaviour. She had spent long hours pacing the perimeter of her enclosure, her sleek coat rippling beneath the soft glow of the setting sun. Low guttural growls rumbled in her throat, reverberating through the silent air like distant thunder. Late one afternoon, Dr. Brian Carter, veterinarian extraordinaire, and Ethan Nolan, the lead wildlife specialist, stood side by side, their brows furrowed. Maxine's once calm golden eyes darted with unease, and every so often she crouched close to the earth, her tail flicking in nervous arcs. "She's in labour," Brian whispered, disbelief mingling with urgency. How could they act swiftly yet safely? The revelation sparked a whirlwind of preparation. Though the team had known of Maxine's pregnancy, the exact timing remained uncertain, and this early labour threatened to upend even the most meticulous plans. The birthing den, once a cosy retreat, was transformed into a critical station. Cameras positioned to capture every move, heating pads humming softly beneath layers of straw. And emergency medical supplies lined up like soldiers ready for battle. At 8 years old, Maxine stood at the upper edge of her breeding years, making each kitten born under her care both a precious gift and a calculated risk. The staff exchanged solemn nods. The next hours would define more than a single birth. They would test the limits of conservation and compassion. Would Maxine rise to the occasion? Then, with a mighty push that sent a tremor through the den, the first kitten emerged into the world. The damp, pink figure squirmed and let out a high-pitched squeak that resonated like a message of hope. A collective sigh rippled through the observation room as Maxine's rough tongue immediately set to work, meticulously grooming the newborn. Each stroke of her tongue told the story of maternal instinct in its purest form. In quick succession, the second and third kittens made their entrance, their tiny coats already hinting at the distinctive spots and stripes that would one day camouflage them in the wild. Excitement surged through Brian and Ethan. 2 healthy kittens were extraordinary, but these early arrivals seemed almost miraculous. Could such a delicate process continue to unfold so flawlessly? As the 4th kitten slipped into life on warm straw, Maxine's frame heaved with exertion. Beads of sweat, or the feline equivalent, matted her forehead. Yet even fatigue bowed to instinct. She cradled her brood, her breathing steadying as the count reached 4. The team dared to believe the worst was over, but nature had one final surprise. With a low, guttural growl and a strained push, Maxine delivered a 5th kitten. Silence fell as the camera's lens focused on the tiny creature, alarmingly small, fur patchy and thin, skin pale enough to hint at every rib beneath. Unlike its robust siblings, this kitten lay motionless, its limbs limp, its mouth silent. Brian's heart clenched. "This one's in trouble," he muttered. Approaching Maxine's den meant treading a fine line between intervention and respect. We mother bobcats were notoriously protective, and any misstep could provoke a fierce reaction. Yet as Brian and Ethan conferred, Maxine did something no one anticipated. She stepped aside, her eyes fixed on the motionless form of her 5th born. Making mournful sounds that echoed in the still air, it was as if she too recognized the severity of her cub's plight and acquiesced to help. In that instant, the team knew the balance had shifted. Could they trust the trust she offered? Clad in gloves and cautious optimism, Brian entered the den. The world seemed to hold its breath as he gently lifted the fragile kitten, soon to be named Aspen, onto the examination table. The tiny bobcat's breaths were shallow, each inhale a whispered plea for life. Brian's skilled hands assessed Aspen's weight, its underdeveloped muscles, and its inability to nurse. Without hesitation, fluids were administered. A heated incubator stood at the ready, and the first tube feeding was prepared. Distantly, Maxine watched from the entrance, her golden eyes unwavering, as if granting permission for this human-led rescue. Would Aspen seize this second chance? Days turned into nights as the reserve's corridors pulsed with quiet urgency. Wildlife specialists from across the country lent expertise via calls and video conferences, pooling knowledge to give Aspen the best shot at survival. Early on, each breath Aspen drew was cause for celebration, each weak cry a rallying cry for the team. The kitten's sparse fur began to thicken into a soft down, and its translucent skin gave way to the faintest patterns. When Aspen's eyes finally fluttered open to reveal vivid blue irises, tears glistened in the observer's eyes. This tiny warrior, born under dire circumstances, was fighting back. But could this fragile spark of life grow into a flame? Meanwhile, Maxine devoted herself to the quartet of healthy kittens still nestled in her den. She groomed them with unwavering vigilance, her gentle purrs a lullaby that soothed their newborn anxieties. Yet her gaze often drifted toward Aspen's incubator. Each glance a question, is my child safe? Those eyes spoke volumes of a mother's love transcending species. How long could this silent communication endure before the crucial moment of reunion? The day finally arrived. Brian, heart pounding in measured rhythm, carried Aspen, warm and stable, back to the den under the watchful eyes of every reserve inhabitant. Maxine, alert and poised, sniffed the air as he set the kitten down a few feet away. For a breathless moment, Mother Nature seemed to pause. Stray leaves hung motionless in the breeze, distant birdsong ceased, and all focus converged on that fragile tableau. Then, with deliberate grace, Maxine approached Aspen, nose touching fur, whiskers brushing skin, the den filled with soft licks as she groomed her once forsaken cub. Could a single act of acceptance heal weeks of separation? From that moment, life flourished anew. Aspen, now back nestled among siblings, wobbled forward, tentative steps giving way to playful pounces. Under Maxine's watchful eye, the litter explored every corner of their enclosure, chasing shadows, leaping over stray leaves, and tumbling in joyful chaos. Each misstep became a lesson, each tumble a reason for laughter. Aspen, the tiny fighter, led incursions into the unknown, its siblings close behind. How far could their curiosity take them? Word of Maxine and Aspen's story spread beyond the reserve's gates. A live-stream camera installed in the Bobcat enclosure drew viewers from across the globe, each tuning in to witness the unfolding drama of wildlife resilience. Donations poured in, funding not only Aspen's specialised care, but also bolstering conservation efforts for countless other creatures. Maxine's journey from a rescued victim of illegal trapping to devoted mother became a beacon of hope, illustrating the profound impact of compassionate intervention. Could a single sanctuary change the destiny of an entire species? In the end, the saga of Maxine and her 5 kittens served as a poignant reminder that nature and humanity need not be adversaries. When handled with empathy and expertise, our interventions can nurture miracles, tiny sparks of life that kindle hope for generations to come. And as the sun set each evening over Hillside Nature Reserve, the silhouettes of a mother bobcat and her brood against the horizon stood testament to the extraordinary outcomes possible when we choose to hemp. What new chapters await this resilient family?